being here. My name is Claudia, as James said.
Me too.
I am a hospitality journalist, and I'm also the Academy Chair for Gulf, for MENA's 50 Best Restaurants. I'm going to introduce my lovely panel. We have Naim Maadad, who I'm sure everybody knows. Naim, do you want to give yourself a short little intro?
Sure. Morning, everyone. Naim Maadad, Chief Executive and Founder of Gates Hospitality, as well as Treasurer for the UAE-RG. Hospitality in general, resorts, hotels, food and beverage, spa and holistic wellness across Oman, UAE, London, Australia. Thank you.
Okay, and then we have Nicolas. Nicolas, do you want to go ahead?
Yes. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nicolas. I'm heading LPM Restaurant and Bar Group globally. And yeah, I mean,
Short and
very
sweet.
happy to be here.
And Panchali.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Panchali Mahendra. I'm the Managing Director of Atelier House Hospitality Middle East and Alta Maria Group New York City, and very happy to be here.
Thank you for being here. Okay, so as we heard before we got on stage, we're talking about awards, how important they are to making destinations kind of desirable in terms of dining. We've had awards for a long time in this region. There are several of them. There are several lists. There's, top 10 this or that. With the arrival of MENA's 50 Best this year in February, followed by Michelin City Guide for Dubai in June, and now we've just heard there's going to be one in Abu Dhabi in November. What do you think about, first of all, what do you think about the arrival of 3 in the space of a year? And are all awards created equal? So are these maybe more important than the ones that were already in town? What do you think? I'm going to come to you first, Panchali. Ladies first.
Thank you. I have a belief that whenever we, conceptualize a restaurant, it is never kept in mind about winning an award, because the whole aspect of creating a concept and opening a restaurant is all about the infrastructure, the gap in the market, what concept you're going to bring in. I think that especially awards that are local do not make or launch a restaurant, but definitely give a boost to it. Because at the end of the day, in every restaurant, and I'm sure we all would agree on this point, that you have to win the client every day. And that is what is more important. And during the course of that, if you're able to win an award for yourself, I think that kind of validates your quality, and I think it indulges excellence.
Nicolas?
Yeah, I mean, I think what is important to understand is the purpose of the awards. In that particular case, with the 3 new awards coming into place with World 50 Best, Michelin, Goemio, I mean, we can see a clear stand from a government point of view, from a country point of view. There is an objective to elevate the UAE into a different place than what it used to be. So I think from taking that into consideration, the impact is not only for the restaurant, but the entire economy of the country. Yes, it is important for all of us. Now, should it impact the way we do things on a daily basis? I really don't think so. It is important to maybe new restaurant brands to be supported with recognition. In our case, we've been on the market for 12 years. We're not aiming for awards. When they come, it's great. It's good for the team. It's good for advertising point of view. It's good to get new customer being in town. Yeah, that's how we look at it.
Right. Naim, what do you think in terms of, Nicolas very well pointed out, I missed out Goemio before. So we now have 3 big brands here. Does it mean that we have more international eyes on the regional F&B scene?
Look, absolutely. I genuinely believe this is the reward that the country is actually attaining, based on all the efforts that's been driving and nurturing across the years in order to put the country on the map. And these awards, I think, for me, are an endorsement of what takes place. I think they're cultivating what we do day in, day out. But I think, again, from an international endorsement, they're amazing. they're amazing for the teams, and I think they genuinely help the industry push harder day in, day out. I don't think anyone's out there to only get awards, but I think they do push us harder to say we'd like to stay in that helm.
Do you think it's had an impact on morale, on the way maybe there are more collaborations, maybe there are more, what do you think? Has there been any movement in terms of that whatsoever?
I think the pandemic has had an amazing collaboration impact in a very positive way. I think it's helped us all to unite and work together as an industry across most sectors. I think these awards now are about pushing the envelope to the next level, and I think what will happen is we'll start all aspiring the next level. My fear is we need to be, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we need to be ready to deal with these, because the impact, the pressure that it may pose on a team is phenomenal. And we need to have a structure in place in order to support these individuals, so they don't, in case they don't qualify or they don't get an award, it doesn't impact them mentally. And I think as an industry, we need to be ready for that as well.
Okay, have you felt this as well, Panchali, in your concepts? Are there systems in place? Is that something that you're thinking about, kind of the positive and the negative impact of these awards coming?
I mean, one clear example that I can share is about, one of my restaurants just getting a Michelin star under 5 months, 11 Wood Fire getting it under 5 months of operation. Mm-hmm. And it still has, it's both pro and con for it, because now everybody's watching. Especially because it is such a brand new concept. It's a homegrown concept, and people often wonder, especially the other client, that why? What's so special about you? So the scrutiny gets even more defined than any other restaurants that have had a longer term and when they win an award. So yes, we have to be very careful and have eye for detail for each and every deliverable. We have to be on our toes a lot more, because I think with all these international awards, what comes with it is you do not want to lose it the next year. So that competition and the weightage is a lot more.
Right, so you're feeling the pressure a
Absolutely.
little bit. Yeah. Nicolas, LPM Dubai has been closed for a couple of months over the summer. Did you feel the pressure to open as soon as possible, more than usual, or was it just business as usual?
I mean, obviously, we're starting the busy season now. I think it's important to open it as soon as possible. We aim to reopen by end of October. I mean, after 12 years, we finally did a full refresh. Yeah. We don't want to use the word renovation because it would put the expectation too high from a customer point of view. But for us, we don't do this because of awards purpose. But going back to the award discussion, I think Dubai has been very strong on lifestyle concept over the last, let's say, 10 years. Fine dining hasn't been a real driver from a restaurant point of view. It's kind of always been put on the side and never took off. So I think the arrival of the guides will certainly put a different focus on Dubai or Abu Dhabi in the future, and it will elevate the dining scene as a whole. I mean, having Michelin star coming will definitely have customer looking at it, travelers looking at it and be like, okay, I want to have quality dining in Dubai, not necessarily only big venues with beautiful decors and good food, but not to the same standard as you could find in London or in New York or in Asia from a fine dining point of view. So I think this is going to be very interesting, at the same time to recognize the local talents at an international scale, which was not necessarily the case in the past. It was very regional focused.
Right. But I think you raise a really interesting point between fine dining and having a good dining experience, which I don't know if Dubai excels necessarily in terms of fine dining, which is why it's interesting that Michelin is here. And it's interesting what they consider fine dining. I think we only had two Michelin star restaurants and no 3 stars, which is a clear indicator that we still have a ways to go. Is that something that you're maybe aiming for, Naim, for stars, or?
Yeah, look, I think the media and ourselves, we have a massive job to explain what these awards are, how people go about obtaining them, and what do they actually mean to the business and how to go about them. I think this is a biggest step. I think year one, everyone's overwhelmed with the expectation. I think now what we need to do is define that experience, define how we get them, and make sure that the team's aware, the consumers are aware, the media's aware, so we educate. So I think for me, it's more about making sure that we have clarity. So if you see a Michelin sign at the front, MENA 50 Best at the front, you know what to expect. I don't think it's about fine dining. I think it's about an experience. It's about endorsement globally. And I think with what the city or the country is trying to do, this is an amazing endorsement for the country, because globally, if Dubai continues as a destination for tourism, if the country, Abu Dhabi, also does the same, these are amazing recognition awards for the global market to say, let's put the place on the map in the culinary fashion.
Yeah. Have you seen an impact in your venues since the awards have arrived? So since 50 Best in February, have reservations gone through the roof? Are people coming in because they've seen it on a certain list or because it has a star? What have you felt? You've seen a bump, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I think, like I said, the bump, apart from Gomeo and 50 Best and Michelin, we have seen some substantial growth. I would say as much as the sales went up 30% the day we got the star on 21st of June, and we were sitting and contemplating that how is it going to be, because it is something so new for this market for us, and boom, that night comes in, and since then the sales just have been roaring in, which is fantastic. So
that's crazy. That's insane. And both of you had LPM Abu Dhabi and Dubai on MENA's 50 Best, didn't you?
Riyadh and Dubai.
Sorry, Riyadh and Dubai. So 2 locations. What was the effect on sales, if any? Did you see any?
Sales-wise, on the short term, it's difficult to evaluate. We've been lucky to have a very busy restaurant in Dubai for the last 12 years and in Riyadh for the last 2 years. So I wouldn't say it had a direct impact. I think it's just reinforcing the brand on the region. What I think, and I'm diverting slightly on the question, but I think it's relevant. First, the arrival of the awards are rebalancing the focus on the culinary aspect. So maybe sometimes some companies or businesses didn't have the focus on marketing initiatives and didn't get the same recognition as others, because awards have been driven by publications as opposed to international guides. So I think this is one aspect. The second aspect is awards in general. These type of international awards are also evolving from one market to the other. I don't think you can compare a Dubai dining scene with France or with Hong Kong or Tokyo. It would be irrelevant, in my opinion, to compare a star to a star. And I think what we see is the guide evolving according to the different markets, but at the same time to the consumers. What are the millennials going to want? And it's not only about the food anymore, it's also the ambience and the service, and it's a holistic approach that I think the awards are taking into, specifically for Michelin Guide and Goemio. I think is still purely on the food aspect, and we will see how it goes in the future. But I think it's very exciting to see what's coming, and I think it made us all think, what do we need to do differently? Do we want to be part of it? We don't want to be part of it. So it was a real topic of discussion when those guys came into the discussion less than a year ago. Yeah. So now we're here discussing about it, No,
absolutely. But it's interesting what you say about the stars not really being comparable, because I think
my opinion.
Oh, sorry. Yes, yeah. Because I think they came in with the intention of, a star in France is equivalent to a star here in Dubai, and that's what the inspectors came in with the intention of doing, to give that consistency across the board. What do you think of that, Naim?
I don't think any market should be compared to other markets. We operate in a totally, I mean, we're fortunate enough to operate in the UK and Australia and here, and every market operates in a very different silo. Market maturity dictates that. So I think we need to be very careful, and I go back to the earlier point I made, is we need to educate our teams and the audience and the market of what to expect from these beautiful awards that we're collecting.
Okay, that was a very diplomatic answer. Okay, fair enough. In terms of communications, in terms of how you then move forward, because obviously you don't want to say, oh, I'm going to do this intentionally because I want to be on Mina's 50 Best, or because I want to be on Goemio or Michelin or whatever it is. You want to do well because you are all very credible operators and you would be doing it anyway, right? But are there, is there a renewed fire, maybe something like a renewed motivation to do things a little bit differently, to maybe look at restaurants that have done well on these lists and say, okay, what are they doing that we could be doing differently?
100%. I think, again, the way we're looking at putting our image out has changed, has shifted. The way we've been viewed has shifted as well. So I think there is a new, a lively kind of ambition, if I may, across the team, even across the team in front of house, heart of house, where they are aiming for that next level. And what we're witnessing now as well is the curiosity of delving deep into understanding what these things are, what they stand for, and how to go about getting them. So for me, for my business at least, I'm not sure about my colleagues on stage, but for me, I'm saying let's not take our eyes off the ball. We do what we do, but let's broaden the horizon and keep looking at what's happening globally and make sure we add to our business, enhance our offering, nurture our business to the next level, because these awards are very important. We just need to make sure they stay relevant to our market.
Okay. And Panchali, you're in the middle of opening about 1 million new concepts here and throughout the region. Is that something that you've got in mind when you're opening something new? You know, from the onset, from the get-go, are you saying, okay, this concept could potentially be positioned for
I mean,
XXX.
my opening sentence was like, when we do a
Yeah.
concept or a restaurant, I think first few things I think of is, why am I doing this concept? I was just actually having a conversation with him, and I was talking about how infrastructure, the location is important. What is the gap in the market? And then, yes, if an award comes in due course of that, then it's more than welcome. But I think nobody really opens a restaurant because for us, I think the primary reason that we do is revenue, because it's a business, so money is important. And then second, there's passion. And when the passion comes in and the award kind of validates that, then I think we are on board with it. But to be honest with you, not really. The awards are not the first thing that comes to our mind when we're opening a restaurant.
It's a bonus. It's
It's
something
an
else.
absolute bonus,
Okay.
yes.
Just on that point,
Yeah.
I think we all operators of independent restaurants, I think this question would be very relevant to hoteliers. How helpful is it going to be to hotels to bring Michelin star chefs and to be recognized for that? And how is it going to impact their business of restaurants as part of hotels? Independent restaurants are very different as hotels, and the strategy is very different. So my point of view is going to be very relevant to hotels to bring Michelin star chef with the aim of bringing stars from a communication point of view and bring a consumer through the door.
I mean, we see that in restaurants as well, right? We see restaurants bring in, chefs for pop-ups from, all of these lists from 50 Best, Michelin starred, well, not chefs, restaurants. But yes, I think there's definitely a want to align yourself to maybe an accoladed person or venue.
I think going back to Nicolas' point, I think, if I may, I believe that the way that we see it as independent and the way hotels see it, hotels will see it, let's fill the house, let's look at the broader picture rather than just the restaurant. We see it as just a restaurant. Yeah. That's a very specific factor. Whereas the hotel will say, we probably can up the ante on our room rates, we can get a better exposure in the PR, and so it's a different objective, but that's the way we operate.
So what I wanted to say is, as independent restaurateurs, we're not going to design a restaurant with the aim of getting a Michelin star when a hotel potentially, I'm not a hotelier, so I'm not talking on behalf of the hotels, but I suppose may take a strategic move and say, we're going to open this restaurant with the aim of bringing a Michelin star. So the dynamic is very different.
Like we see that with anchor restaurants, right? Like,
Sure.
you know, hotels will have a restaurant anchored
Absolutely.
by a celebrity chef or, you know, yeah, absolutely. Looking forward, we have 4 minutes left. Looking forward to how you see the regional restaurant scene evolving as these awards become more ingrained, more part of the vernacular, as consumers become more accustomed to using these guides as a guide. How do you think this is going to impact the regional scene? I'll come to you, actually, Nicolas. LPM has been around for 12 years. It was a very different market when it appeared in DIFC, and it was, you know, one of the very few restaurants out there. Now it's in a sea of other kind of lifestyle, almost fine dining restaurants. How do you see things evolving in terms of the scene and in terms of, you know, how consumers interact with restaurants based on these
I mean,
lists?
for us, we question ourselves on a daily basis, you know, and the awards is one thing, but it's also what is going to be our next move. Like now we have a renovation going on. It's not purely from a technical point of view. We're also thinking where customers go, how do they compare ourselves with other restaurants, and how we're going to be able to retain our customers and bring new customers in a year, 2 years, 3 years from now. Again, going back to the awards, I think the overall region is going to benefit from it. I mean, today it's Dubai and Abu Dhabi launching Michelin, then it's a region for the world 50 best. But it's just going to get, you know, very dynamic. We see with the UAE, we see with Saudi Arabia, which is extremely dynamic from a F&B point of view, but also from a real estate point of view and hospitality point of view. We see Qatar in less than 2 months. The World Cup is coming. So again, the whole region, you know, is going to benefit and going to get a lot of focus on over the next few years. So if the countries are continuing to take the right decisions and to do the right moves, I think, at least from our side, we have a very strong focus on the region in the future. So, you know, how do we open new restaurants? If we want to open new restaurants, how do we make sure that our existing restaurants benefit from it? You know, it's questions we have. And how the awards impact it is more about longevity than let's get the awards, but let's make sure we understand what consumers want out of these awards.
Right. Okay. So it's a lesson in knowing, so the restaurants that score highly, it's good research for you guys also. Panchali, you're opening in, or have opened in Saudi Arabia. It's a very quickly evolving market. I feel like everyone's going out there if they haven't already. How do you see Saudi evolving in particular?
I think we entered the market 2 years back when it was just, you know, just the market had opened up to tourism and people had started opening the brands. I think LPM was one of the top brands to enter, and we saw, kind of heard the sales numbers that they were all doing, and that kind of intrigued everybody. With 2 brands in right now, and we're expanding all over Saudi Arabia. I mean, it's a great market because everybody's aware that they had, you know, the spending power and the population, the 2 big elements, and an untapped market as of, you know, for the next couple of years. It was a great strategy for us to enter. But I'd like to quickly say that, having said that, we are expanding, and we're now going to India. Me being an Indian, and the population stays there, and I think that is one of the most untapped markets right now in terms of F&B. Yeah. And I think people still understand, and they're well-traveled, and they're traveling a lot, and they have the spending power. So that is our next move for the company, is not just in the region here, but also to see the close-by countries that we can start opening our concepts.
Amazing. Congratulations. Naim. 20 seconds.
My excitement for these awards is we will rejuvenate the interest in entering this sector again. I think we lost a lot of grounds. The industry is hard work, the industry is difficult, long hours standing up, so I'm hoping that they will help re-attract a lot of the younger generations back into the workforce because there is an amazing reward at the tail end, and I think the restaurants that have these awards would be a great playground for these individuals to come into the marketplace. I think we have an obligation to forgive the word, to sexy up the industry again, and I think these will help reinvigorate some life into that sector.
It's a lovely note to end on. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sorry, we're minus 30 seconds. Please invite me back. Thank you very much, everyone.